So, I'm getting ready to start changing how I do some of my videos. Um, Not today, but I am going to um, apply more effort in the future. And I want to invite people to consider my content and hopefully aid me in some inspiration. I could use some. Um, And once I cover my video today, I'm sure many of you will understand why. So, the topic for this video is unemployment is going to end. And I urge some folks out there to think that they're much more educated than the masses, or think you're degreed up, or confident in what you know about economy and things related to economy to get ready to get schooled. Things are going to change. So, the good news, unemployment's going to end. People are going to go back to work. The bad news, unemployment's going to end. People are going to go back to work. Now, I'm going to start by sharing a personal observation. So, I was off for an extended period of time, drawing unemployment, making that extra money that was put out there. And I'm grateful for that. And I used it wisely and I paid down bills. Not everybody's going to do that. Not everybody's done that. And a lot of those people that didn't do that spent more money, got things they wanted, and did things that were irrational, uh, partly to compensate for the stresses that they've been enduring. Now, the world got quiet. Didn't hear the traffic in the background. You didn't get up, get dressed, do your routine, and prepare for your day at work. Now, I tried to stay on a schedule. I really did. I got up at my regular time for over probably 2 weeks. Problem is that I was home for a lot longer than that. So eventually I got off schedule. That's the first thing that you're going to notice. A lot of people got out, they went to work, they did everything on a routine. They had been on this routine for quite some time. Then they're going to return to work. Um, I went back to work. Now, I was in the process of finding a more permanent employment that was closer to my home so that I could make more value of my time. Those were goals of mine. I took a pay cut to try to achieve those goals. So then I almost immediately got laid off. Well, 2 weeks ago, I returned to work. And I was eager to go back to work. My brain, my mindset, I'm ready to go. And here's where things are going to change. And here's what companies need to listen to. They need to think. They need to process, because you're not going back to business as usual. You're not going to retain your employees. as business as usual prior to COVID-19. These people have had time to think. I had time to think. Now, I'm going to cover a lot of things in this video, and I'm going to go through these things in a way that hopefully covers it for both the person that wants to be employed and the employer. I'm a realist. It's a symbiotic relationship. It's become a little skewed, but it's a symbiotic relationship. And if we're going to make our country great, and we're going to get the best out of our situation, things are going to be balanced a little different when everything goes back. And if you're a naysayer, it says, "Oh, that'll never happen." Really, you need to think. And this is on either side. If you're the hopeless employee, especially somebody that's been working steady through this, or if you're the employer that's either kept running or has shut most of their operation down. You need to think about what I'm saying. This is for both sides. This is for both entities. And I'm going to start with the jobless rate that's reported today is not reflecting me. And it's not reflecting some people like me. I went to work 2 weeks ago. I quit work 2 days ago. And here's the observations I found when I went back to work. One, I had been off work long enough for a lot of the things that were bothering me and stressors to be gone. I had been off work long enough for my body to no longer be used to certain pain and certain bodily stresses. When I went back to work, I felt like I was going to be crippled up. One, I've wore steel toes most of my life. What I didn't realize is that my feet had gotten used to the steel-toed boots and the pain that you endure. And I vaguely remember as a young person getting told, "Oh, don't worry, you'll toughen up and those shoes will not hurt your feet after about a week and you'll be fine." Well, I wasn't fine. I had developed a tolerance, and I was able to ignore or misdirect the pains that I was going through with my body. Now, everything starts at your feet. Everything starts at the base. Now, with that, we're going to stop for a review. I have wore steel-toed boots for years. I actually prefer Red Wings, but they cost a lot of money. So, companies that make workwear and cut corners, shame on you. You're talking about people that are working 8, 12, maybe more hours a day, and their body's already going through stressors like tight steel toes to cause toes to curl in and the nail to rub the inside of the foot, rub up against another toe. Yeah. You're going to notice that when you go back to work. If you forgot about it or didn't know why your toes were swelling up and hurting all the time, most likely it has something to do with the other toes curling in from the steel toes pressure and cutting into your foot. So I really want to call this company out. This is a Wolverine boot. Now if you look here, I've had these boots maybe 3-4 months. I've got a wear mark here. I've got wear up here. And I'm walking in these boots. There's been days that I have clocked 12,000 steps. A lot more than you would normally do. But it happens. 12,000 steps in these boots. Now, the leather held up good, even with some serious metal gashes, things hitting them. I mean, these boots have seen work. I've seen work. I've worked hard a lot of my years. I've also been in management before, more than once. So I want to talk to you about, taking care of your worker and the things that you need to do. Okay. Now, continuing with my review. If you look at this boot, it has a piece of duct tape. The duct tape runs all the way down to the back bottom of the boot. The reason for that is ever since new, that boot had a piece of leather that would wear a blister on the back of my foot. Ever since brand new. Now, these were over $100. I can't remember what, but they were over $100. And the boots I wanted were over $200. Now, this is what I have to buy for myself. So, that dips into my money for myself. It dips into my money for living. So does the gas going to work. So does the lunches I have to buy. The drinks that I have to buy. My previous workplace, no longer current, I would go through 4 bottles of water a day. Easy. Now, the company had a water fountain. It was on the wall that you could refill your water bottles. But with COVID-19, that since went away. So, that cost didn't go to the company. That cost went on to me. No longer am I getting the filtered water out of the fountain. I was buying it myself. I got my boots. By the way, I'm on my 4th or 5th pair of insoles inside these boots. The first ones had a hole in them within a week that started hurting my feet. And I had to replace them. The last pair of insoles I put in there came out of my motorcycle boots so that I could go back to work. After going back to work the first day, my feet hurt so bad I thought, well, insoles might help. No. So, people are going to go back to work. They're going to want better footwear. Definitely better than this pair of boots behind me. And companies like Red Wing, you're missing your mark because you have a lot of employees that have been expected to work hard, very hard, doing paperwork, doing the manual labor, standing on their feet 8 to 12 hours a day. And they're having to buy footwear. These people aren't making $300 boot money because a lot of companies have gotten away with, and I think this is going to change, and it should. They're hiring through temp agencies. They hire through the temp agency. If you want a job at the company, you got to work for the temp agency. They're paying that temp agency 2 times or better the price they're paying the wage to the worker. Okay? So, say my job, and like I said, I took a significant pay cut to be close to home. So I was working for, and we're going to go ahead and put this out there, $13 an hour, which is a ridiculously low wage for what I was doing. Then, when the company hires on people, if they hire on people, and I was like 4 days away from being hired on regular, when I returned, I had a new contract. Guess what? Extended time. I have to work for that company to get hired on. But then they're only paying maybe $1, $1.25 more an hour for that job. I was responsible for $1 million piece of equipment. I was feeding in thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of dollars worth of metal through a machine. And the parts that were coming out the other end at a rate of about 660 parts every 45 minutes. You know, and those parts probably worth bare minimum $5 a piece after cost. Profit. More likely $20 per part profit. These weren't small parts. So, I got these parts flying at me. I'm responsible for this machine. I have to keep track of every failure, write it down, so that the company can figure out how to be more efficient and make more money while cutting the price of the labor that I receive. Okay? Now that same machine that I was running, the impact from that machine can be felt probably no less than 500 yards away from the building without any kind of detection equipment. Then with seismic equipment, you probably can feel the effects of that machine at least a mile. At least a mile. Those vibrations are going through my body while I'm wearing the cheapest earplugs the company could afford. And I buy my own sunglasses. We've talked about those. Well, I ended up buying my own safety glasses when I went back. Why? Because for over 3 months, or at least 2 months, it all gets foggy, I was wearing the same glasses while I was supposed to be able to perceive the minute imperfections on pieces of metal. They were too cheap to buy me eyewear or provide me with eye protection that I could see well on a machine that people have died operating. Moment of silence for people that died at work. So the safety glasses that I was provided, I couldn't see out of those things. After about a month, I I asked for another pair of safety glasses. They talked about being able to use, possibly Windex, clean them up, whatever. I did that, but they had minute scratches. The minute scratches affected my vision, which affected my performance, which affected uh, the response that I would get given to me about why I would miss something occasionally, and what I was going to do about it while taking a low wage and not being provided proper protective equipment. The earplugs that I was provided was those little foam, barely usable type, and half the time you'd have to check and make sure they were sealed. And while you're checking to verify that they're sealed, if they were sealed, you lose the seal, then you're exposed to the loud noise that they're supposed to prevent, when you should just have a good pair of earplugs so that you don't have to wonder whether or not they're sealing properly. Or, you know, the irritation that you're getting from these cheap foam things with the little hard piece of plastic in it that you're sticking into your ear. Um, Things that companies are doing to save on cost. Things that companies do to improve their bottom line at the expense of their employees. Okay, now we're going to go to the root of one of the reasons why I started feeling that I needed to leave my job almost immediately after going back. Now, my hands are in good shape. They're in good shape because I was paying attention to the protective equipment on my hands, my gloves. Now, one part I was dealing with would be doused in oil. Another part would be dry and would have to be handled with clean gloves. Well, these clean gloves are super thin, and the protective equipment that's supposed to be on them, substandard. So they cut through within, 2 boxes of parts. So let's say that box has, a minimum of 660 parts, maybe a maximum of 780 parts. So within 1,400 parts, I'm needing a pair of gloves. The glove cabinet, now I know not all companies are like this, but this company was like this, and you need to think about this when you're employing people. They start thinking about, you know, their own safety and their own pain when a pair of gloves is too expensive to afford. So this company puts a camera up above the glove cabinet. They've got their janitor also responsible for the gloves. While you're trying to make production, you have to get onto a phone and dial for this person to come to the glove cabinet because it's locked so that you can get a pair of gloves. Then you're going to get yelled at why it took you so long to get something done and why your production's down, because you might wait 10 to 15 minutes for somebody to bring you a pair of gloves. Okay, so they unlock the glove cabinet. They look at your gloves. Are your gloves really bad enough that you need gloves? Oh, well, it is cut through. You sure you can't make it a little bit longer with this pair of gloves? Okay, let me write your name and the date on the glove that I'm giving you because I think you're going through gloves too fast. I've got to keep track of this. Also, I'm going to make a little expression to the camera so they know that I'm getting gloves for you. Proper protective equipment. and you're getting treated like a thief to get the proper protective equipment to perform your job efficiently, effectively, and safely. These are the things that people are going to think about when they go back to work. Does this company consider proper protective equipment as a daily benefit for their employees? Something they provide willingly? Or do they consider it an expense that employees don't appreciate? If I got a hole in my glove, I want it replaced. If you're going to expect me to wear steel-toed boots, gloves, safety glasses, earplugs, really, I want those things. I want those things. I shouldn't feel that I have to buy my own safety glasses. I shouldn't feel that I have to buy my own boots. I shouldn't feel that way. Or if I'm expected to buy any of those things, I should get compensated. I shouldn't be working for a low wage. If I'm responsible for a $1 million piece of equipment and the products that are run through that $1 million piece of equipment, I shouldn't be making less than $20 an hour. If you're going to pay me less than $20 an hour, you better be keeping track of your own records. You should be doing your own change outs. You should be doing your other things. If all you want is somebody to push a button and stand at the end and catch things, then fine. Pay $13 an hour and put somebody else over those other things. Don't expect the guy that's, working his tail off, sweat rolling down his back, to deal with the imperfections on a piece of equipment, stop and repair things, and then yell at him about why he's not, or she is not, making production. Don't expect me to keep records on two different pieces of paper. Don't expect me to, run after a pair of gloves when you know how many gloves you're going to go through a day on average. Companies are keeping track of this stuff. So why not at the beginning of the work week say, okay, this is what you're allotted. After that, you need to buy your own. Because this is what you should go through in a week. And have that be a realistic number. I mean, if we're going to treat people like that, we need to be realistic. So, companies need to think about proper protective equipment and not meeting the minimum to keep your company running, but meet the maximum for your employees' protection and extended employment. If you're going to expect people to run $1 million piece of equipment after 2 weeks of being on the job with subpar training and expected to do amazing things, then you need to pay those people. You need to pay those people. And if you're going to hire people from a temp service, you need to make it short-term hiring. If you're going to keep somebody, within 90 days whether or not you're going to keep somebody. You should know within probably 30 days if you want to keep somebody. And if you want to keep them, hire them. Hire them with benefits. Hire them with the things that they deserve. Because they're not getting that from a temp agency. And you're paying more money to that temp agency than you are to the employee. So, 2 companies are winning and 1 employee is not. And people are going to think about that. You're going to have people that are going to go back to their job and They're going to think about stressors that they haven't dealt with. They're going to think about protecting their body, things they haven't had to worry about. They're going to think about, how much does it cost me to come to work for you? Because it costs money to come to work for a company. They're going to think about, am I getting compensated to come to work to make money for your company? Because don't be mistaken, employee labor is a business. That employee is a business unto itself. Is it cost effective for me to come to work for you? What is my final take home? Is it of value for me to come to work for you? Or can I do without, stay at home, and find another method of employment or another method of income? I mean, what's changed? People that have become accustomed to a certain level of treatment have had time to think. So unemployment is coming to an end. The numbers that were posted today, they're not accurate, because I guarantee you there's other people like me that went back to work and immediately said, I need a different line of employment. I'm not appreciated. They said, I'm not appreciated. I need another line of employment. And if you haven't, and you're thinking about it on your job, then you are shortchanging yourself. You're not getting what you deserve. Now, I don't think anybody should go to work and not do anything. I think you should work darn hard for the money you agree to work for when you go to work. But I believe that contract needs to change. I believe that if companies want to wring every last ounce of sweat out of somebody at work and push their bodies and expose them to stressors like vibrations and sounds, that the people need to have a good trade-off. Yes, I'll endure this and help you make money for this. That's what it is. And for too long, it's been, we're going to cut your wage, cut your hours, cut your benefits, and you'll be happy. And I don't think that's going to cut it for a lot of Americans, a lot of people around the world, honestly. Go back to work. If you haven't gone back to work yet, get ready for some changes. In the 2 weeks I went back to work, here were some changes that I noticed. People were in different positions in the company. Of the people I knew, I can count at least 5 that were no longer there for various reasons. They didn't come back, or they came back and they didn't stay. I had management that was missing. People that I knew in management that was missing. Now, I want to go ahead and tell you all that I'm not endorsing unions, and I'm not condemning companies. Number one, you get a group of people together and they work towards a common goal, that's fine. But why should somebody line their pockets while you're trying to get that common goal? I never did understand that. I never will. Companies, if your company treats me well, you pay me a fair wage, and you don't renegotiate the terms after you've got me employed, I'll be glad to work with you. You know, don't go and hire me for a job, add 3 jobs to it, and then condemn me for not being able to keep up. Don't do that. Or don't expect me to stay if I do keep up, because I'm going to realize I'm not an idiot. Most people are not idiots. They're going to realize you're piling on more work and not changing the negotiated wage. It's a practice that's been going on far too long. It needs to change. So, people, you're in a position to voice yourself. There's a whole lot of companies that are going to go belly up if they don't streamline their practices. It's not streamline their profits, it's streamline their practices. Labor is a commodity. And when these companies get back to work, they're going to need that commodity. Everybody got sent home. Now, I'm going to say that I understand why there was extra money put into unemployment to help people out. And I understand that stimulus was added. But I think what should have happened was companies stepped up and said, we've got a temporary layoff incentive. We're going to take care of you so that you stay with our company. Then when you come back, we're going to give you an adjustment period, and we're going to help you, and we're going to work with you, and we're going to take care of you. I think that the government, if they wanted to put an incentive somewhere, they should put an incentive in 2 places. One, the employees that stayed on the job, that are really pissed off that they'd missed out on extra money, justifiably so. And 2, incentive money for people returning to work. Because I immediately took less money and I spent more money going back to work. My body started enduring a lot more stress, a lot more physical fatigue, a lot more pressure. Started thinking about the expenses, like buying a better pair of boots so that I could work a job that paid less. And what time does the expenses come to mind for going to work and staying at work while the company treats you like you're lucky to be there? You know, one hand they tell you how great it is that you're back. The other hand, they show how great it's not, because evidently you cost more for gloves and eyeglasses. And in my production, a good sized shape of cardboard that would fit in the box I'm working with so that I could get my job done efficiently. Yeah, that was a cost cutter. Got cardboard somewhere that didn't fit the box. And then why am I, not meeting production? Why am I having difficulties? Well, y'all bought cardboard that wouldn't fit the box. Now I got to fight with that nonsense. Oh, yeah, my machine wasn't working properly. Wasn't kicking out the parts. Every 5 to 10 minutes, I was having to stop and deal with a machine that's not working properly and dig parts out of a machine. Now I'm supposed to take a stop block and put it into that machine, and it weighs probably 30 pounds, maybe more. Stick that in the machine, dig out those parts, and put that back up. But if I do that, then everybody's wondering why it's going to take so long for me to get my job done. So I'm having to shave my own safety to do my job because somebody cut cost and couldn't shave off a little extra metal off the inside of a piece of equipment so that the part would eject properly. You know, and there's so many hands in the till. You got so many different companies working on the same thing and trying to get to the same place that each one of them's cutting cost, which makes the job infinitely harder. So much specialization going on that you can't take care of anything in house. And then they wonder why they have problems. Now, I'm not an ignorant person. And a lot of the people that are going to listen to this are not ignorant people. They could be disadvantaged. They may have children and have to provide for them. They may have sick loved ones, have to provide for them. They themselves may have medical issues and they have to have the money and the insurance to provide for that. But because somebody's disadvantaged doesn't mean that they should be mistreated when they return to work. And companies should be proactive in making things better for their employees, not worse. And unemployment is coming to an end. People are going to go back to work. But a lot of these people are able to think. They're not ignorant. They have endured hardship. But while they sat at home, they found peace. They found healing. They found balance. And now you're asking them to come back to work. And there's going to be people like me that said, I lost my unemployment. I came back to work. I did it willingly. And this is how you're treating me. I'm going home. I'm not getting anything for going home. I lost because I wanted to work and help my country. The employment that I got, the unemployment that I got, gone. And even with that, I said, it is better for me to be at home than to spend $150 to $200 a week to go to work for a job that doesn't want to pay me a fair wage, doesn't want to give me proper equipment to do my job, and doesn't want to pay me for keeping track of the inefficiencies at their job. And why am I responsible for all this record keeping when I'm barely getting paid a laborer's wage? there's going to be people like me that are going to pull back. I looked for work the whole time I was off. I'm still looking for work now. I've applied for a good job. I've had to call for a good job. And I may not get that job, but I know that they're offering a fair wage. I know that they're going to provide me with what I need to do that job. And I know that I'm going to get full-time employment and I'm going to get benefits if I go to work for them. So I know there's at least one company out there that may not be perfect, but they're trying to do the right thing. And it wasn't the temp agency I was working for, and it's not the company I was working at. And, I gave them my resume and I said, listen, here's my resume. 5+ years of management experience. Well over 10 years in industrial maintenance. Well over 10 years in customer service. Well over 10 years in construction and equipment and tool knowledge. Well over. I'm just minimizing. And I came to work for them, and I actually kind of liked the job. It wasn't the job. It's the things that I'm thinking in my head while doing my job. I'm at the end of a machine. I'm standing on hard concrete in place. I do have to move a lot, but I'm standing in one 4-foot or 6-foot area all day long. Now, as a parts man, working retail, I was provided with a rubber mat to stand in that area. I'm thinking, why does this plant that makes a lot more money not put some kind of matting down that reduces the impact stress of concrete on a person's feet? Why do I have to stand the whole time? And there's no kind of, seating for a break occasionally during the day. Why do I have to walk, 1,000 yards from my machine and 1,000 yards back, and that's included in my break time? So, if it's a 15-minute break time and it takes me 3 minutes to walk out, and it takes me 3 minutes to walk back, it's a 9-minute break time. 15 minutes becomes 9 minutes, right? 9-minute break time. These are the kind of things that your employees are going to think about when they go back to work. And my half-hour lunch is a 24-minute lunch. Oh yeah, another thing that comes to mind. If I get cut on my machine, why do I have to walk 1,000 yards and then hunt for the first aid equipment? You know, why is the nearest fire extinguisher, 100 yards from my equipment? Why is that acceptable? I'm running a great big machine. Why isn't there a fire extinguisher on my machine? I seen the fire guy the other day. It's acceptable, evidently. No fire extinguisher on that machine. Fire inspector comes in, also the uniform guy. Don't know how that works, but he comes in, he checks out the fire extinguisher, makes sure that you got a good fire extinguisher, blah blah blah. But that thing's 100 yards from me, and I'm in an area drenched in oil vapor. Oil is going 50 yards in all directions, and fans moving it around. Oh yeah, and the company didn't supply any masks for the COVID. I was wearing a bandana. That was acceptable. Bandana. That was acceptable because I had to provide it myself, and they weren't going to tell me what I could wear. Some people were wearing hunting blinds. Some people were wearing cutesy little masks that they'd made themselves, and all good. Things you need to think about. When an employee goes back to work, do they feel valued? Will they feel valued? Will they stay employed at your company? Will they do work for you? Will they choose to just drop it all? These are things you need to think about. Okay, the economics in this. If you provide better than minimum requirements for your employees will feel valued. If your employees feel valued, their work will be of better quality. If their work is of better quality, you will innately make more money. If you cut cost on gloves and safety and training and labor and equipment and any of the things that these people need to do their job right, they're going to notice. They're not idiots. People are not idiots. People are not ignorant. While I was working, sometimes you're at a machine with two people. So I'm at a machine with two people. Every guy says, oh, this is the blank blank way. Company name. Speed up the machine. Don't give you good equipment. Complain that you're not making enough product. Change everything up on you in a moment's notice and expect you to hustle to do extra work to get something done and not be compensated. The HR person was helping out the employees. Asking for their information on logins for stuff that they're not legally allowed to do. 2, going in and seeing all their personal crap, and then somehow managing to not file them for things they were eligible for. Like when they had low earnings, they were still eligible for the federal money. And I know of 5, 10 employees that did not get that because the HR person dropped the ball. Her personal garbage was worth more than anybody else's needs. She's the HR person for a company. The guy that ended up being management over a lot of the equipment that we're running had 2 weeks less experience than me, and they dumped the whole thing on him. You're responsible to manage all this stuff. He doesn't know how to run the equipment. He sort of knows how to run the equipment. Heck, I studied everything I could study, and I was doing really well. But there were still things on that equipment that I felt that I shouldn't touch because I wasn't trained on it. And that caused stop time. That caused management to have to come and help me. And instead of showing me, they just go do it, which meant the next time I had to call them. Yeah, made them, maybe a little more valuable. But the money wasted and lost from having somebody go do something that the operator could have done if he was properly trained, and there was extensive training that lasted more than 2 weeks to run $1 million piece of equipment, the profit made from that proper time frame of training would be, much better. And they could probably afford the safety equipment that they're skimping on. Buy the better grade of gloves. Buy the better grade of earplugs. Provide a stipend for steel-toed boots so that the whole cost doesn't go to the employee. Little things to say. We value you as an employee. And same thing for these temp agencies. If you're going to profit off of somebody else's labor, hour per hour, probably ought to provide safety glasses. Probably ought to provide steel-toed boots. Probably ought to provide some earplugs. And if I got to wear my own clothes, which I've had to do, and run them daily, sometimes cut clean through a shirt because the metal cut it. How about a few t-shirts to say, I appreciate the fact that you're working for us and we can make money off of you. You're helping us make money. Here's some t-shirts. Or let us get you some workwear so that you're appreciated, not destroying your personal clothing to come to work. Something that might not cut through and cut your belly. Yeah, I got that. Wasn't even back 2 weeks. I cut myself from belly button clear around to my side. Got snagged on a piece of metal. So, I'm tough. I can handle it. But it did make me think about the appreciation I was getting. All that wonderful appreciation. If there's a company out there that wants to do better for their employees and find a better way of doing things, ask. Put a comment. Put a like. Talk to me. I'll gladly, freely give you that information. This is what our business does, and this is what we need. Or, if you want me to contact you, go ahead, send me a message through here. I'll contact you. I'll talk to you about ways to make your company more appealing to the post-COVID employee that's about to join the workforce again because unemployment is ending. We have a great country. We have a lot of great employees. We have a lot of great workers. We have people that are not cut out for certain jobs and people that are cut out for certain jobs. And training would eliminate a whole lot of headache figuring that out. You know, simple training period. You know, get it done. And, you know, entry survey and an exit survey. Entry survey. What are you wanting from the job? What are you willing to provide? You know, those kind of things. Do them anonymously so you get truthful answers. Exit survey. Why? Why are you leaving the job? What have we done that doesn't meet your standards? Why are we having problems with employee retention? Oh yeah, the company I was working for lost at least 4 people prior to me during the 2-week period that I was working there. Some of them were there before the COVID-19 experience. Think about that. That makes 5 people in 2 weeks at a company. Now, they were already having a retention issue before, but, you know, a lot of things drive home when you have time to think. So, if you're an employee getting ready to go back to work, you know, if you're a citizen getting ready to become an employee for a company and go back to work, if you're going to a new job, if you're a company that's hiring, if you're a company that has problems with employee retention, you know, if you're an individual that's just curious about your next move, unemployment is ending. And it's going to mean different things to different entities. So, like, comment, subscribe. I'll not sugarcoat it. I'll make another video if I have enough questions. I'll answer questions for companies. I've been in a lot of different industries: oil field, telecom, production, retail, construction, general labor, skilled labor. We have issues. We have issues. We, the people, have issues. And if we don't take care of them, the demographic of work and worker is going to be an issue. It's already an issue. And unemployment is ending.